Yo, what's up guys? How is everyone doing? Hope you're all having a fantastic day once again. We're going to get straight into this analysis on Bitcoin today. Yeah, it's been a very interesting past couple of days. Now, first of all, I want to apologize. I haven't been very active. I was traveling a lot and, well, to be fair, it's been mostly a sideways market. I want to highlight, hang on, one of the comments I got here. I can't say that name, sorry, but someone's saying got a whole lot of nothing going on, and yeah, this is kind of the sentiment for the entire market right now. I was seeing some really funny meme tweets on Twitter about how, the TA for this range is, and I'm quoting here roughly, we're never going to leave this fucking range. It said that like somewhere around about here, and that was the sort of TA. I found that really funny, and it definitely, it definitely reflects the wider market sentiment right now. Lots of people really getting very tired in this range, and it's actually shown, I think, most clearly just by my lack of streams, because there hasn't been anything to update on. But today we have some really interesting things to cover. As you've seen from this title and thumbnail, the Bitcoin bears are about to get very weak. This is going to be one of those more bullish videos, and as you guys know, I'm actually quite neutral in this entire range. Like I always say, it's very hard to know which way we're going to go up, which way we're going to go, whether that means we're going to go up, we're going to leave this range and go into the 7,000-8,000s, or we're going to go into the 5,000 and 4,000s. I genuinely don't know. But this is a video sort of outlining the bullish case, which I'm starting to lean much closer towards, and you're about to see why. So, one of the big things I've been noticing, especially in the shorter time frames, you guys know that my analysis is strongest in the shorter time frame, so looking at what's going to happen within the next 24, 48, 72 hours. What we've got right now on the 4-hour is, yes, the same rising wedge that we've been looking at for a long time now. It is now bouncing up from, well, if I were to draw this, you'll see the sort of parallel channel still working in our favor. We're still getting bounces off in this range. Now, how do I know that? Just sort of basic candle analysis. If we sort of zoom into these, well, actually go on the 4 hours, my bad. What we have are, shooting star candles, right? So what this is this isn't a shooting star, sorry, this is a hammer, which is where the candle wicks down. These things are wicks, as you know, and that means the lowest price it was trading in within this candle. We've got 26 minutes left on this 4-hour candle. And what this shows us is that prices were actually trading very low, and then even with a bit of a volume jump, prices started trading a lot higher, and so we're closing with what's called a hammer candle. It's actually quite bullish. The same goes for sort of previous candles. When we get wicks, they're not wicking up and then getting rejected, they're wicking down and getting rejected, which still shows that the sort of bulls are trying to defend this level. I saw one of the comments here saying, from Willie Beeman, 6,452 being defended nicely. This whole range is being defended quite well, yeah, and of course 52 being the most recent sort of place where we got a bounce. Short-term analysis, really this analysis does not count for much. When we're analyzing just individual candles, this could tell you what the next following 2-3 candles can do or something like that. Perhaps more than 2-3, just perhaps maybe the next 24 hours of candles, but on the whole, you can't base any real trends off it. It's just something I thought I'd cover. It's nice to see. Now, if we look at the volume as well, we're down to $13.5 billion traded in 24 hours within the cryptocurrency market. This is still trending a little bit higher than we used to have, which is a good sign. It is showing that while we're going on higher, we're sort of maintaining a slightly higher volume. But what's actually great about this is that we were previously trading with about $15 billion of 24-hour volume, and so we're seeing a bit of a pullback on what has been a red day. So this is still showing that the bears are weak right now. It's showing that rather the bulls are stronger than the bears, not necessarily that the bears are weak, just relative to the bulls they are. These are good signs, right, especially for the short term. Like I said, these things don't stick for the long-term trend. It's the same for the basic candle analysis. It doesn't stick for the long-term trend, not even for the medium-term trend, but it gives us a decent indication of what's going to happen relatively soon. And yeah, flying out, we're testing too much that area. Completely agree. We are testing this area a little bit too much for comfort. I'm probably going to get to that a little bit later as well. Yeah, it's all a good sign, but really, I mean, the main part of it, as you've seen in the thumbnail and the like, lies with the Ichimoku cloud. So first of all, on the 4-hour, just sort of confirming our support level right now. First of all, we left this resistance area, no problems. We didn't leave by climbing above, but Nonetheless, we're now looking at green Ichimoku support. As you guys already know, when it's a green cloud, it's a support level. It can work as a launch pad, and when it's red, it gives us nice, clean rejections. It's happened twice here in this range. And so we're now getting a bit of support, 2 wicks down, confirming that this Ichi cloud is being supported. And if we do trade sideways, or at least trend higher a little bit for the next, say, 24 hours, we're going to start getting some nice support, some slightly wider support from this 4-hour Ichi cloud as well. People always ask me about my settings. You can see them on the top left. These are adjusted for the cryptocurrency market. The default settings are a little bit different, but default markets are not 24/7 markets. So I've adjusted that to be more in line with the rest of the space. Yeah, this Ichi cloud, again, it's the same trend I've been saying. It's not good. You know, I mean, it's a weak indication of where we could be going in the sort of short term. But again, it doesn't really contribute to the wider trend, because we've seen these thin clouds. Well, this wasn't a very thin one, but we've seen these 4-hour clouds not really be respected as of recently. We may be seeing that trend starting to reverse a little bit, but you know, the last real time they were useful, and the last time I was really focusing on them was back in July. So that's now quite a few months back. Yeah, so still, we're seeing weak signs of a bullish argument, and the bears, the real thing backing the bears right now is just that we're in a rising wedge. We are setting a lower high. If this was our high, we've set a lower high. A previous one obviously being about 7,500, 7,400, which we called nearly perfectly. It was pretty dope. If this is a lower high, it almost certainly guarantees that we're going to break below $6,000. We've got that descending triangle everyone's going to be talking about. I may touch on the Korean won chart. I've got a lot of people asking me about that lately. A little bit of an interesting chart. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. And I've actually just remembered I wanted to ask you all if you prefer these streams over the recorded videos, because lately I've been doing a lot more recorded videos. It's just more convenient for me. I don't have to sit here and wait for 30 minutes to go live. I can just record it at any time. Let me know what you think. But yeah, now for the real sort of bullish argument. It is the daily Ichimoku cloud. As you know, let me give you a quick refresher, because it has been a while. Ichimoku clouds are by far one of the most valuable indicators we have. One of my most respected, I guess, indicators. What I respect a lot, and it's because it has a flawless success rate. I mean, nearly flawless, with the exception of reversals, which only happen once on the daily chart, sort of once every. Well, yeah, now in this case it's looking like it's extremely accurate. As support, we bounce off these green clouds a lot. You know, we got a nice bounce off here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we did actually bounce up over here. So were I to replay this chart, it would look like yet another case of the Ichimoku cloud giving us perfect support. But of course we know how miserably that played out. Of course, as resistance, as it has been for most of 2018, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rejections off the Ichimoku cloud. But what we're looking at now, let me just give you a quick refresher. Frank Four Flies, I love you, you're my hero. Thank you very much. I like that. No. We had a very thick Ichimoku cloud back around April, and when you get a thick Ichimoku cloud, what that means is we've got very heavy resistance. It is strong resistance, and it means that we're most likely gonna get rejected by it. But as the cloud gets thinner, it actually becomes a lot easier to break. So the last time we had a cloud this thin, or even close to this thin, was back here in June. We were actually talking about this, and this back here is actually when I genuinely thought we were going bullish. It was a pretty big mistake, and thankfully we didn't trade that, because if we did, that would have been a pretty substantial loss. The Ichi cloud, when it's thin, shows us that we've got weak resistance, and coupled with all the other things I've been showing you, the sort of short-term bullish bias could carry us through to breaking out above this Ichimoku cloud. And this also lines up with the time analysis that a lot of people are doing. Alessio, namely, Bo Polney potentially, but he's been a bull since like July. You know, we've got people saying that sort of around August we're going to be going higher, and this does definitely fit in around around October, not August. And this is about mid-October. We get a very thin Ichimoku cloud, and with all of these bullish things lining up, I mean, we still definitely have a very bearish argument. Like I said, this video is focusing a little bit more on the bullish side of things. With all of these coming together and showing that we have quite thin sort of resistance here, we have a very good chance of breaking out. That does not mean we are going to break out. The deal here is, like I said, the Bitcoin bears are about to get very weak. Of course, none of this is financial advice and all that kind of thing. But since it is weak resistance, this and the Fibonacci, sorry, the technical analysis that we do, it's crazy. It's eerie how accurate it is in reflecting market psychology and different things like that. I don't think it's any coincidence that we are seeing weakness from the bears at the same time that we're seeing weakness in the resistance cloud for the Ichimoku cloud indicator. I mean, this is by far not a coincidence as far as I'm concerned. And that means we have a pretty decent chance of breaking up. Yes, and one more thing, obviously, the seasonality. I was just looking at my notes there. Seasonality for Bitcoin, as we all know, Alessio has been talking about this a lot as well. John, I don't mean baloney, I mean Bo Polney. He's a sort of famous Bitcoin bull. People like Alessio have been talking about the seasonality with Bitcoin, which definitely holds true, and it's that in the fourth quarter of the year, which we're now in, October, November, December, Bitcoin has historically been has historically performed very nicely. Even if it goes up by about 50% from here, that still means a price of $9,000 to us. I suppose that doesn't seem like a lot, but we've got to bear in mind a 50% gain is very well could be life-changing money, especially if you're trading that on leverage. With leverage, you multiply the profits. So, for example, going 10x leverage with a 50% gain means that you've got a 500% return on equity, and that is a 6 times gain. So definitely life-changing money if you're able to play that, and I think it lines up really well. I saw someone else mention in the comments that he or she is cautiously long, and I think that really summarizes my sentiment right now. If I really had to... Oh, it is Bo Baloney. Okay, my bad. I didn't know that. My sentiment is, if I had to trade, I would be in a very cautious sort of 1 or 2x long with Bitcoin. It definitely does seem that it's likely to break out. I don't see how, after so much time of sort of going sideways and even down, that it can continue going down as well without giving some sort of a relief pump. This final pump now, I don't know how far it's going to go. If it could make a 50% gain, that would be up to 9,000. That would clear our $8,200 resistance. It's the only thick line I have here. It's quite important. And of course, clearing 11,600, as you know, nearly a 2x from here. Oh, okay. Right. Thank you, John. Once we do clear 11,600, that is when I turn sort of fully bullish. Because just to quickly remind you, if we look at the VPVR, this shows us how much volume is traded at set price levels, and you can see there's hardly anything after 11,600. Once we clear this line, it's almost definitely near 100% going to clear the all-time high and then rise up above as well. But yeah, in terms of this actual range, like I said, I don't know how high it could go, but depending, if it doesn't clear this sort of $8,200 resistance zone, for example, what I'm seeing is the best sell signal we've had all year. Maybe this won't happen this year, could happen next year, but whenever it does happen, if it can't clear these important resistance levels, we are seeing a very good sell signal, a very safe sell signal to completely remove yourself from the crypto market and only keep a small amount for trading. That's actually, I think, now the best approach within these markets. It doesn't make sense to be holding. So if you just keep a small enough balance, whatever you like I say, sort of 5%, this is something I covered in a VIP stream earlier. It depends on your own risk management. 5% of your entire portfolio per trade is typically what even aggressive traders go for. I think the most successful traders typically go for much less than that, reading books and different things like that. If you were to keep 5% of your portfolio in, ready to trade, the other 95 in fiat, in tether, whatever you like, definitely, I think the better way to go in this kind of a situation, to me, it just makes more sense. Like I said, it doesn't make sense holding in a bear market. And that would mean on the way down, you can short it, you can trade very, very well. And that's sort of the best way to play this kind of a market. If it happens, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Like I said, the chances that we do break up now definitely are looking quite quite good to me. That's why this is a bullish video. But of course, it's not guaranteed. It is all about those probabilities. As for that, I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to, so I'm willing to go through your questions here. I saw someone comment that it's been like a month since my last stream. Yeah, it has. It's it's been a very long time since streams. Like I said, it's just that it's not as convenient for me. But of course, if you guys like it, I'm very willing to do it. Gabriel asking for the inverted chart. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. The inverted chart, for those of you who don't know, just flips Bitcoin around. It shows us Bitcoin, well, you're about to see, so it's flipped around now. This trend is always undeniable for me. I think at this point, I have to say that I have a bias with it. But, I mean, looking at this trend, it's it's a very long-term downtrend. And we get pauses in these trends, and of course we've now got the biggest pause in a couple years. But the trend is going to continue, because trends always continue, even because of inflation. Bitcoin is not something I think that's going to die out. It's quite unlikely. And if it's not going to die out, that most likely means it's just going to continue its trend. And yeah, that means it's probably going to continue on downwards. And of course, in our case, that means it's gonna in our case, that means it's gonna go up in price and breach the all-time high once again. Could get a double bottom on the all-time high. This is actually something I've been considering as a bit of a thought experiment. The fact that we could end up going to 20,000, or in this case minus 20,000, forming a double bottom here and then reversing fully and really taking a massive dive, or in this case starting a bull market, I guess. Quite unlikely, let's be honest, but still a possibility. Do I do the choppiness index? I don't know what that is. Do I think the bearish divergence on the 4-hour has played out fully? I don't typically look at divergences, Harry. I'm not very good at spotting them. I'm even worse at trading them. But let's take a look. Yeah, I don't see a bearish divergence. Like I said, I'm not good at spotting them though, so I wouldn't know. I think you may be talking about this ascension while the RSI is going down here. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that, sorry. Can I look at Ripple? Yeah, getting a lot of questions about Ripple, so I think we'll take a quick look at Ripple here. Yeah, so we actually, we had a signal posted in VIP about Ripple. I later said that it's not worth trading. The risk was way too high. But, a few people did do that anyway. And yeah, one of the messages I got here was pretty cool. This guy locked in a 62% profit and then took it upon himself to short the top as well, which which resulted in a 90% gain for that day. Yeah, 90%. Pretty dope. I mean, trading in one day and getting a 90% profit. I just want to go back to that person who at the beginning of the stream mentioned that the market isn't going anywhere. That's absolutely true, but it doesn't mean that you can't be picking up gains anyway. So if you're interested in VIP, go ahead and hit me up. There's a link in the description to gold. Click on my name at the bottom of any gold post and send me a message. Crypto Mafia Gold, my Telegram channel. Right, yeah, so looking at Ripple, I mean, the basis of that long signal, it was a long signal in VIP, like I said. Later said that it's not even worth trading, but it still worked. The basis of that signal was that we were in EMA support on the 4-hour. It worked beautifully. I actually made a full VIP stream to talk about this as well. It worked beautifully with our dip down right after Ripple went absolutely parabolic. I mean, fell right down to the bottom, right down to the EMA 55 on the 4-hour this is, and then bounced up. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that. And then we did see a similar thing. So this blue candle was where that long was. Yeah, let's get those likes smashed up, Levius. What we have right now, so really the deal is when we have a solid trend, in my opinion, the best way to trade these trends, or the best way to even look at the markets, is when we have a trend, you obey that trend, or a better word for obey, I'm not too sure, you respect that trend until it tells you otherwise. And that means even blindly following what the trend is telling you, because in the long run, that's most likely, in my experience, like I said, been trading crypto now for 16 months now, I think. Maybe even 17. Wow, that actually makes me feel old, given how quickly crypto moves. Trading it for a very long time like that, 17 months is not a long time to be trading, but trading crypto for 17 months, yeah, that's a pretty big deal. And what I've noticed is, yeah, you will have failed trades doing that because you're taking a purely mechanical approach, but you're going to have way more successful trades than failed trades. The idea is you want to look for a spread on the EMA ribbon. This is what I covered in the VIP stream. Trend is the friend until the end. Fun sponge. I mean, you guys may as well just leave the video now. I mean, that's all you need to trade successfully. I mean, that can make you a millionaire with whatever starting balance you have, as long as the correct risk management is exercised. The deal is, when you get a spread on the EMAs, that means when the EMA actual lines are spread out from each other, that's when the EMA ribbon becomes accurate as a support level, right? When the given coin is above the EMA, it is support, and when it's below, it is resistance. It gets rejected and it gets supported up. And when we get a nice spread, that's when it becomes valuable. That's when it becomes reliable. So we started to get this spread sort of up here. This was end of September, sort of the third quarter, the third. God, that's such bad wording. Of September, we started to get these bounces, and if you were to trade based off this, laddering longs from the top of this EMA ribbon down to the bottom, which means you set a long perhaps every, look at the Satoshis on the right here. I know you can't see the prices, but perhaps every 1% down, you put in a new long order, 1% down, new long order, 1% down. You ladder your longs like that. That's decent. You wouldn't want to do it for the first one, and that's why we didn't play the first one. It's a little bit too risky. Ripple just went parabolic. It could have easily dumped. But then you've got the next ones. You've got a nice little bounce off hair off the top of the EMA 21, a second, third, and we've got a nice fourth one here, fifth, sixth, and seventh here. Is it an eighth? Really? I have just have my daily hopium. Hell yeah. Are we going to get an eighth bounce off this EMA ribbon? I see no reason why not. We just had that Bill Clinton swell conference. Unfortunately, wasn't able to watch it, and I couldn't find recordings of it either. But Ripple is making really big moves. I was actually considering becoming a Ripple maximalist. I'm going to hell for saying that, I know it. But Ripple is making big moves, and as much as I don't like it, it's good to see what they're doing. It's definitely bringing awareness into the crypto space. That's actually been my sentiment for Ripple since the beginning. I've been jokingly against it in these streams, always insulting Ripple and bcash and different things like that. But, at the end of the day, it brings awareness to the space. And so it's, I would argue, doing more good than bad. Once people are in the space and they do a little bit of research, they realize that Ripple actually is a joke. And so it's not even a problem anyway. Bill Clinton, is having his figure with that Ripple conference is only going to do good things. So, like I said, no reasons to doubt, that this is going to break the support. And I think, it could play out nicely. Would I long this? No, the setup isn't good enough. It's the 8th test, and it's a bit of a dodgy test. I mean, we went in, we didn't really bounce up very nicely, and now we're back in the ribbon. It's a little bit messy. It's probably still going to work, just given how reliable the EMA ribbon is, but I just wouldn't take that risk. If you're going purely mechanical with it, absolutely, why not? But thankfully, we're humans, and we don't need to do that. I want to throw on the fib retracement here as well. We have bounced off the 618 retracement. My fib retracement is actually drawn a little bit poorly. We ended up trading on this 618 retracement. As we all know, markets typically retrace by 61.8%, especially crypto markets. And as long as they're in a trend, they continue on higher. And so we've seen a 61.8% retracement, and since then it hasn't hit this level again. Here's a quick signal for you guys if you are interested. I'm sure you are. If it does drop below the 618 retracement, it's probably not going to test it again if this uptrend is still intact. If it drops below this level and it drops below where it consolidated before, around the 24th of September, that is a very clean short. You can short this down from 6,700 Satoshis down to at least 5,300, if not 4,400. 10x leverage, that's what we typically use for altcoins. That's a 20% move down, and with 10x leverage, you multiply that gain by 10 times. You get a 200% profit, 3 times gain. No doubt, if that does come, I will be signaling it. That would be a pretty juicy trade. If we do have any final questions, I'm willing to go through them, but I want to start wrapping up this stream. Wow, yeah, it's been 25 minutes. Yeah, so the issue with streams is that I just end up going for too long. But yeah, I guess if people like that, that's okay. Remember this quote from CME Group's Leo Melamed? We will regulate, make Bitcoin not wild, nor wilder. We'll tame it into regular type instrument of trade with rules. Okay, that's actually something I wanted to touch on for a future video, and it's where I mentioned, I think a couple videos back, that the next, assuming we do get a new parabolic run, which I'm sure all of us think we will, the next parabolic run for Bitcoin will not be as glorious as the previous one. The trend is actually that these bull markets in Bitcoin are getting weaker each time. They're decreasing in percentage returns. People won't like hearing me say that. Don't really give a shit. The truth is, when assets ascend in value, when there's more money poured into these things, when they get a larger market cap, our previous bubble was at $800 billion market cap. The one before that was not even a tenth of that, if I'm not mistaken. So the ideas here are rather, as the market matures, it becomes less violent. And let me go back to this comment. Who posted that? Jay Solomon. Exactly as you quoted. I mean, what's going to happen is when we get these suit and tie investors sort of coming into this space, it's just going to get less violent. The good news is it's going to get a lot easier to trade. The bad news is, as holders, it's not going to be as glorious. It's a tough, what it is I'm taking hope away from the layman. And no doubt, of course, that is going to bring a little bit of flaming towards me. But of course, the purpose of this is to sort of give you the truth, and the truth isn't always nice. That's why it's the truth. It's just how markets work. I mean, research it even for 1 or 2 minutes and you'll see exactly what I mean. It's not a bad thing. Like I said, it makes it easier to trade. Crypto will always be more volatile than conventional markets, and to see that it's sort of being reeled in just a little bit, I think it's nothing but good. I think it's a really good sign. Regardless of where this market goes, that's why I've been saying if it's going to crash, if it's going to drop below these support levels, we just short it. We just make profits off that. You can see this behavior has already started. Jay Solomon, absolutely, it already has. When futures trading went live with these, with CME and SIBO, that was obviously the all-time high day. I don't know if you guys remember, or if you, I think most of you here were in the crypto space when it happened. December 17, it reached its all-time high, and yes, it was that day that futures trading actually started, and what happened was the day these futures launched, they shorted Bitcoin down to the ground. They saw a typical bubble in the works, and they shorted it. No surprises there. 20k, nice round number. None of us expected it. And yeah, since then it's become very predictable. These trends of well, first of all, we're in a descending triangle. Let me just draw that descending triangle for those of you who haven't seen it yet. It's typically a very bearish sign. I mean, me saying it's predictable is actually very hypocritical, because I always say it's unpredictable. But yeah, we've got a descending triangle here. Typically this is going to break down. Might show you the Korean won, perhaps that's for another video though. We are seeing less volatility, right? That's the main point. We are seeing slower movements, we're seeing less volatility, and I think once we're out of this market, we're going to have a much more easier market to trade as well. Like I said, like I showed you with this message, it's not impossible to still be making these awesome gains, but it's, like I said, it gets a little bit harder. And I think that once we're out of this market, it's, when you're in a bull market, you just long the dips. It's very simple. And of course, bull markets don't last forever, just like bear markets. don't last forever. What do I think about global debt? Fabio, the the world economy is sort of structured around debt to the point where debt isn't a huge problem. Rather, it's not as big of a problem as most people think. So I don't really have an opinion. I don't have an economics degree. I haven't even done research into it. But it's not something that keeps me up at night. It's not even something I'm concerned with. You know, it is what it is. You know, everyone owes debt to everyone. It's just how the world works. And it's not perfect, but I don't think it's the worst thing ever as well. Ripple Bitcoin VPVR. Let's take a quick look at that. I think this one's going to be a little bit messy, but let's see what it's like anyway. Oh yes, okay, so we've cleared all of the resistance now. So based off historical price action, yeah, it would consolidate for a little bit. This is consolidated for much longer. If this is a typical bull flag, yeah, it means we're going parabolic. Is it an early warning sign for a whole crypto bull market? Probably not. But if it is, it shouldn't take us by surprise as well. Yeah, it definitely will be an easier market to trade, Jay. Phil T, hey dude, epic calls with Ripple yesterday. Thank you very much. What's the maximum amount of time you'll keep a short or long position open? Donald, that's a really good question. I'm going to note that down and make it a separate video. That's too much to cover in this video. Let me just note that down. Where are my notes? Okay. Inflation and bubbles are a bigger problem than debt. If you mean they are a bigger problem, then yeah, I'd probably agree. Thing is, like the US has 21 trillion in debt. China has like 4 trillion. It could be a big problem. It hasn't been a problem yet, which could mean that it's going to be a very big problem, or it could mean that it's just not going to be a problem at all. We don't know. Yeah, I don't think there's any point speculating on these things. It's you're just kind of wasting time. You may as well make money while you can in these kinds of markets. Hey dude, epic calls with VIP yesterday. Sorry, with XRP. Thank you. Yeah, that was a VIP trade. Zoom in on the VPVR. You don't zoom in with VPVR. It's supposed to be used where you evaluate the entire trend. If you zoom in, it's very misleading. It tells us a similar story in this case, but it is no doubt very misleading. So yeah, you don't do that. You can if you want, I guess, but I don't see why. Has the SEC said anything regarding Ripple yet? I don't know. Not to. I'm genuinely very surprised at what the SEC did about Elon Musk. So I don't really want to. I don't like them anymore. I am still a huge Elon Musk fanboy. But yeah, with that, I've covered everything I wanted to. The stream has gone on for longer than I intended, but of course it has been a pleasure. I do want to keep these videos shorter, even though we did used to do even up to 1 hour streams. I want to sort of cut that down, just to make it easier to consume for viewers watching the recordings. I really hope you have enjoyed this stream. If you have, make sure you hit up that like button, smash those likes, subscribe, tick the bell, join the free Telegram channel, and it's the first link in the description. And of course, if you're interested in VIP, all you have to do is click on my name at the bottom of any post in that Telegram channel, which is the first link in the description. Click on my name, send me a message, and I'll get you in VIP. With that, I'm out. Peace.